I can like go to bed and one candidate's in the lead and I wake up and the other candidate won and I'm like, what happened overnight?
And it's famous. They even have T-shirts made with this chart. All right, so this is the chart, and you'd expect it as votes get tallied and states voting comes in. You see this nice proportional deal, and then voting ends, and then you have this great big 2 o'clock in the morning, all Democrat dump.
And it's always a Democrat dump?
Well, as you see on this chart, little bit Republican and a lot Democrat.
Why?
So the theory is that they didn't get to counting the mail-in ballots. And remember, that was COVID year. So they basically, again, this is conspiracy theory, but I'm going to tell the story because it makes a lot of reason in there. So if you basically said it's too dangerous to go to your polling locations and we're going to let you just dump your ballots off in these holding boxes, and then we'll count those drop boxes at the end of the day, then Trump goes on stage and says, in person, don't do the drop box, don't do the mail-ins. Well, then you'd realistically think that anybody who did drop it off are going to be mostly Democrats. And if you get to 2 a.m. and you count all the drop boxes, then it's likely that they're going to be mostly Democrats, right? Mm-hmm. But that puts a really... Okay, so if they were counting those votes all along with mail-in, then you wouldn't have a spike that all of a sudden doesn't fall proportional lines where do you see a lead for Joe Biden at all except for 2 o'clock in the morning? No, it's a proportional gain in both directions where Trump maintained the lead until 2 o'clock when a big dump of Democrat ballots came in all at the same time. After they stopped counting, after the election workers had gone home, and after I'm assuming the watchers, the observers, weren't around at 2 o'clock to witness that dump. That's suspicious to me, and it should be to everybody.
So this is why Republicans are always talking about how they don't believe he really won the election and all this, and they think there was this massive...
I think it's legitimate. I think the Democrats went out and they scraped every ballot, because now I can go to your house and you might be a shut-in and there's no way you're going to vote, and maybe you forgot all about the you forgot all about the election. You didn't do a mail-in because it's not that big. So I knock on your door and say, hey, have you voted? No. Did you mail in? No. Oh, you're a voter. You can actually vote. There's a deadline of midnight tonight. If you fill this out, I will personally take your ballot and throw it in that drop box. And it's going to have your signature. So the ballot harvesting is basically soliciting someone who wouldn't have voted into voting. Well, if Democrats go and do that, and they show up, they have a list of all Democrat voters. They're not going to go to a Republican's house and try to get the Republican to vote. They're going to go to the Democrat's house. So everything they turned in from that drop box is going to be ones they solicited on their route of Democrat voters. So it's just about go fetches as many of those ballots as you possibly can. And they just did it better. There's nothing stopping Republicans from doing the exact same thing. So if the Democrats use a strategy and Republicans decided not to, that's a boneheaded move on their part. So they should have been out there harvesting those same ballots in the same way, dropping them in the same drop boxes. They had equal opportunity to do it. There's nothing illegal about doing it.
Yeah, because I feel like I do remember, especially in 2020, hearing a lot about different transportation companies and all kinds of different ways that they were going to get to you and make sure you vote if you can't get out to vote and all that.
Yeah, so this year, I do not think there are drop boxes because it's not a COVID year. This will go back to what we saw in 2016 with mail-in votes and also, in person. And that way, if you get mail-in dumps like this, it's not going to be at the same ballot, drop boxes like we did before. So I don't think we're going to see that again this year. But now knowing how you lost that election, if you did not do the same things that they did and try to do it better, that's on you. Nobody's to blame except for you.
So, come November, we see again
2 a.m. Okay, so let's just say there is a state that does drop boxes. 2 a.m. it dumps in. You will probably see, instead of 80% of them being, or that's even probably closer to 90% of them being the Democrat, and like little 5% tick that's Republican, you will see about evenly spaced because both parties did the same thing. They dropped equal amounts of solicited ballots in there, and whoever had the bigger operation is going to have a minuscule separation in what they were able to drop off. But it won't be that, which Trump was like, and Republicans were like, well, don't do that. That's not a good method. Boom. Like, I don't know what confidence they had, but when you see your enemy using a strategy that's absolutely illegal and you don't, that's a lot of confidence that everybody's going to go and get to the polls.